JuliAnne Murphy here with La Pura Vida Costa Rica, expat living blog in Costa Rica, and also South Pacific Costa Rica real estate. And this is segment 2 of living in luxury in Costa Rica, or luxury living in Costa Rica. I may rename that at any time. Today, again, we're in one of the largest developer and the most exclusive developer in South Pacific Costa Rica, using one of their beach condominium projects here and as a backdrop for this segment, so thank you to them. Basically, what I want to talk about today in terms of luxury living is the kind of finishes that you can hopefully expect depending on what kind of luxury product you're going to be purchasing. It's important when people often throw around the word luxury villa or luxury home or luxury house for sale in Costa Rica and even South Pacific Costa Rica, that sometimes the definitions of luxury are not particularly the same. So before you even start shopping, my recommendation is to really come with a checklist of the things that are absolutely important to you. And this isn't true for any real estate transaction, but especially on the luxury side, because much of what you're going to find in Costa Rica may or may not be the same as where you're from, and that all depends really on where you come from and how you define luxury. So first and foremost, it's important to define luxury and make a list of what you absolutely have to have for this new life in Costa Rica versus just going out on the market and looking to see what's available. As I mentioned on day one, there are very, very few developers here in South Pacific Costa Rica. As you move into Central Pacific and North Pacific areas of Costa Rica, and obviously into San Jose and the more populated areas, you have more options to choose from. But my experience in Costa Rica as a whole is there are actually very few luxury developers, high-end luxury developers. The product I'm standing in right now, these beachside condos, I would categorize as luxury. These are $500,000 condos, starting high 400s and going all the way up to 600s and 700s. So it all depends on how you define luxury. So that's mostly one of your most important steps. Second is the level of finish that you're looking for. Here in Costa Rica, obviously, again, your finishes, your quality construction is number one, and your finish level and the types of material that are used is key, because obviously you want to make sure that your investment, especially with the amount of money you're going to spend for a luxury product here, usually $500,000 and above, is going to stand the test and the wear and tear of time with ocean, with the salt in the air if you live close to the ocean, with the high levels of humidity and so forth. So that's another thing to really take in mind. In this particular developer, I'm just going to point out some of the high-end features of this particular unit. They have put in recessed central air conditioning. This is very unusual, except in a couple other products that I've seen way up north, but here in South Pacific Costa Rica, very unusual to have the actual recessed air conditioning unit. Most places, even with that call themselves luxury here in South Pacific Costa Rica, have split units, which are actually wall units in the wall, not recessed into the wall, they kind of stick out and they're ugly. This is typically what you would see more in North America and come to expect for a luxury product. But again, here you don't always find it. The kitchen you see behind me, they've got, I don't remember the exact, if this is quartz or something, but this is imported material. You'll want to make sure that that's the case, that whatever type of sink fixture you will have is not only has the highest end of fixtures here, but also the kind of sink that you would want, and that the finish here is nice, because it's not always the case. A lot of times people just slap in a little bit of granite, which to me looks 10, 15 years old, frankly, or at least decor wise, and then they call it luxury. And in my mind, that's not something that defines luxury for me. Obviously, as well, stainless steel. Now, a lot of stainless steel appliances these days are a lot more affordable, so many of even the one-off developers, custom home developers, can afford to do these. But you want to make sure that these are a high level, a brand name that's recognizable, and that's something that long-term, is going to hopefully stand the test of time. And these particular are Bosch, as I can see. And then, of course, some of the other details. For example, here, and let me turn this light on so we got a little bit better light. Here, it would be, of course, it's ideal to have the backsplash go all the way up and down. That's not something that's common here in Costa Rica, but in a luxury product, you would certainly hope so, or at least I would. and that your cabinetry for your kitchen cabinets, we do a lot of custom wood here. These in this particular unit are not custom wood, they're more of a modern, clean architecture. So they are prefabricated but beautiful, and the lines and how they've been installed are quite nice. So these are all elements. Oh, and another thing to me, the knobs. You know, a lot of people just kind of throw on whatever or just do wood, and for me, that kind of thing is important. So again, these are all touches of luxury that in my mind, you want to make sure that you have defined for yourself what makes sense for you in terms of what decor and what elements in the furniture, in the fixtures especially, and in the construction quality and materials that go into. One other thing I want to point out before we go for this segment, this particular developer uses, and again the highest level, let me just turn this so you can see, they use Pella windows. And these are, and the view out there is fantastic, isn't it? But these are Pella windows, and they're double pane for noise, and that alone is something that's pretty unusual here in even in South Pacific Costa Rica. So again, be sure that the window quality is something that's going to work for you. Now, for a lot of places out in the jungle, if it's just a one-off custom home, that's not going to be relevant because you're going to wake to the birds no matter what. But again, especially if you're living in a multifamily situation like this particular development would be with high-end condos next to the beach, you're going to want to have those double pane. All right, this is edition 2 of Luxury Living in Costa Rica, and look forward to seeing you next time. LaPuraVidaCostaRica.com, Expat Living Blog in Costa Rica, and South Pacific Costa Rica Real Estate, our firm. The website is CostaRicaPacificRealEstate.com. Pura Vida.